Welcome back, welcome back. So we're going to do part two of the series. Not sure how many parts it will have until we get to the end, but this one is going to be kind of next steps. We've got the emulator installed, part one. We talked about installing the emulator, getting the hardware acceleration set up, kind of navigating, getting the basics working, kind of looking at troubleshooting and seeing, what applications are running and debugging some of that. So we'll go through and kind of go hit the next step here and include some other things and try to take a look at what other options are in here. So we've already started our emulator from the last video, and I like to organize things a little bit. So what we have here is everything is running, and again, it just depends. Sometimes the Play Store will want to run updates. We already have a app installed here, and what we're going to do is like install a custom app. And the way to do that is just use regular ADB. And the way to get an easy ADB shell without installing anything is to use the command line option. So there's a cmd/adb/java/python/git/node. This will give you a easy to use command prompt that will let you pretty much run whatever you want. Now we already have a Android prompt right here, so it gave us a BusyBox, which is essentially a command line version of whatever. It's not BusyBox, it's just a command line, a shell, which I think is sh. Let's see. Bin sh, yep. But I think we probably have bash. No, we don't have bash. We don't have BusyBox. So you can do. BusyBox has a little bit more features if you're going to do a lot of command line stuff, do some troubleshooting within the platform itself. But what I'll show you is right here, we don't have root yet. So if we try to like do su, we don't have an su binary, and we're stuck in normal user land over here. So what I'll start with is to kind of go through. So we have our prompt here. There's not a whole lot we can do. There's a pm command. I don't even know the parameters, but PM will give you lists, information about the users on here and the software. You can pull back information about the software. You can install software. You can back up things, sort of, but that's for a different day. So you can access the Android device inside of here. So like SD card probably is in here somewhere. Yep. So we can see all our stuff that was downloaded, right? You can even use the find command. So we got some thumbnails and stuff that's pre-generated folders within the Android framework. So we have that command line that starts automatically, and this one has pretty much everything in here you need. And for this point, we need the ADB. So you do ADB devices, and it'll tell you emulator 554. That's the current device that's like online that we can push APKs to. Now, lucky for you, I have an easy way to push APKs. You can look at the command, so I'm not going to go into how to like ADB install and then my.apk. I won't go into how to do that. It's relatively easy. But there is a button in Jamboree that will do this for you. Install base APKs. Now, a lot of these are root tools. Package splitter might be root. This one is saying Lucky Patcher is missing, I think. Yeah, looks like we're missing Lucky Patcher. APK manager. This one's like a exploit, a pen testing tool, a vulnerable application. Seclist is used for Burp Suite to show things like to do testing. So there's a bunch of fuzzing information. So if you want to fuzz directories and which ends up usually happening when you're testing APIs, which basically that's what all these apps are usually built on top of some kind of API. So you should start to see applications being installed on here. Once we're done downloading Seclist, it's quite a large file. I think it's 100 megs or something like that. It'll actually install all of this stuff. So let me actually write notes to make sure Lucky Patcher. That's one thing, going through this helps me identify, what needs to be run in order to test and make sure Jamboree is up to date and always doing the latest and greatest. So this was the Lucky Patcher link was updated by a community member. So I need to validate why that's not working today. So we can go in here while this is running in the background. We can look on Lucky Patcher. So here's Lucky Patcher official installer, and we'll see what this site looks like in the browser. Oh my goodness. This is an unsafe site. So here's some anti stuff. We're going to go back to the original GitHub repository for the push request he made to update Lucky Patcher. My one and only contribution to the stack. Let's see, let me go back. Oops. I'm not a GitHub repo master. So I gotta try to find the code that he added. Pretty sure he changed this to a different version. So let me try to find the pull requests. Probably 3 closed. Here we go. Fix broken links. Yeah, fix broken Lucky Patcher link. So we've removed this and added this. So for some reason it doesn't look like his changes got pushed to the main branch. So I'll have to check and make sure. Yeah. I'll have to check and make sure every 2D download. Let's see, /archive, new bit 1. So this is new bit 1, and we'll check for that new bit 1. So yeah, the request didn't get updated. So I'll have to look into that. That's why we didn't get Lucky Patcher, because we don't know how to do a pull request. And we're learning. That's what's important. We're all learning. All right, so we've installed most of this stuff, and that's gives you a quick little, basically all the things I use for kind of testing into proof of concepts and stuff. Like these is for video game hacking. You need administrator root to take a look at those. DuckDuckGo is just a good browser that doesn't require all this stuff. The integrations and hooks that is involved with just using the default browser of Chrome. So that'll help out with some of this stuff. So when you start up, it wants you to make it its default browser. So this is an example of how we install kind of third-party applications. The one I like to talk about that didn't get installed, yeah, APK Manager. This is kind of interesting. We're not going to worry about the key store stuff. This is the alternate app store, which is called escaping me right now. Anyways, so there's your kind of ways to easily install apps that will help you identify stuff. So we got file managers. It's got a good file manager that pretty common. This is a vulnerable application. This is the app manager, which shows you permissions within different kinds of apps. So if you're having issues with an application not working and the permissions aren't granted correctly, it'll just crash. Game Guardian again is for memory manipulation, searching memory addresses. If you've ever done any old style cheats, you can search for, I have 32 coins. You can search for 32 coins, pick up 33 coins, search for 33 coins, and eventually find that memory address inside of the game and hopefully be able to modify that. And there's Lucky Patcher, which gives you a lot of things you can do with that to bypass local app stores. Doesn't work so much anymore. A lot of people roll their own. So your mileage may vary. It's actually good for backing up applications, things like that. So I feel like, other than getting into our next part, which will be the Burp Suite part of this, I'm going to try to go over everything else before we start jumping into Burp Suite type of things and root and all that. So I'll go through the debloat UI, which doesn't work for not a phone. This is designed for phones that actually have the non-x86. So the application that we're running right here is this is x86. So if you try to push a tool that's not x86, it will not work on. Traditionally won't work on this. It has to be the ARM architecture. So this uses a binary that's ARM and will only work on a phone. The reason I created this is to help manage and freeze applications on phones. And it's a way to debloat manually. There's a bunch of debloat tools out there that I combined all of them together and made a massive thing that would basically break your phone, and that's not what you want. So this uses quite a few things. It uses this app2 dump, and it gets the information about the package, and then it creates a master, kind of like a master file of all the packages and their names. So a lot of times you'll see, for example, something like calendar. So right here we have messages. That is not messages. That's Google messages. This is a Google application. So a lot of times on your phone, your parents' phone, your phone, if you're not aware, you will have instances that you'll have two calendar apps. It's like, this is not, for example, I had a Samsung, and the calendar app, I had kept having issues with it in Unicode, and I would have weird characters, and it was syncing properly. I couldn't figure out what's going on. Well, come to find out, the calendar app was not actually Google Calendar app, it was Samsung's calendar app. So things that you're missing is, you'll see the name of the application, which that I think is easy to get. The part that you really want is the additional information, which APK Manager will give you that information. It's like package labels and package path, which will give you the com name. So android.google.com or something. Though it will give you the com name of the application, which helps identify, because a lot of times they'll say, Verizon, Samsung dot whatever, or app.samsung dot whatever. You'll get an idea for the carrier noise on your phone, on your device. You'll see the carrier apps. You'll see the other apps. And what this allows you to do is manually pick which actual devices you want to silence or freeze. So what it tries to do is it tries to disable it first. And if that doesn't work, or actually it tries to do both, it tries to disable it and uninstall it. So at the very least, it'll try to disable it. And here's some options where it says, to not let it run in the background. And let's see, this looks like a removing package cache, so that there's not files being stepped on. But that's pretty much what this does. It's a little debloat tool that I use for my phones to try and get rid of some of the bloat that's installed with these Android ones. I think that pretty much wraps it up. What I'll try to do is show you an example of, we'll close all this out, and we're not really worried about that. Nope, we're not worried about that. Don't worry about that. We'll go to Google Play, and for example, we'll try to install something like Clash of Clans. This app won't work for your device. The reason that is because the build prop information is saying that this is like a developer emulator, and you need magic to make this look like it's the right device. That's the first step, is getting the actual APK, and you can force pulling down this APK. So even running something like Clash of Clans on a regular standard emulator is like moving mountains, because they have anti-emulator detection and anti-root detection. So even if you were able to download the APK and manually install it, there's all these detections and things that come into place when they push out the actual application to the users. We'll have anti-debugging, anti-reverse engineering, anti-root stuff in there, and you have to use additional tools that we'll talk about later that will help. And I know the emulation piece is a big part of that. And I have a GitHub post about needing help in that space. So we do have an issues, and it's this guy bypassing safety net stuff using some kind of DGVM emulation, and it has not been updated in quite some time. He probably sold it and is making millions of dollars now or something. Uh, that was into September 2024 was the last time. Here's the video. Of course, it's been pulled off the internet, and that was in July of 2023. So that dog is not going to hunt. But that's an example of trying to install a really super popular application. Even something like TikTok, you'll go to run it 117 megs. That's bananas. So everything on the left side is for the emulator. Everything on the right side is additional tools. So that's not inherently obvious when you run Jamboree, but that's how I've designed it, because I've gone off the deep end with this tool. So we're verifying product, installing 100 meg APK. Now APKs are compressed, basically zip files with information in them, and I should be able to see APKs. Yeah. So here's an example APK you can extract it with. And then you can use special reverse engineer tools, things like that, to understand what's in here. Yeah, here's an XML file that shows you information about the package, the other looks like function or permissions that it needs. What else do we have? Was this like some kind of binary embedded inside of an XML file? I don't even want to know. Here's your DEX files that you can reverse engineer, and that's the problem with a lot of these things, is that there are multiple APKs sort of, or multiple applications that are bundled together, and then they have split APKs too that are an APK inside of an APK, and you're running like two programs at the same time. I don't know why that is a thing. Maybe it's a memory thing. You can only have so many running at the same time. So here's TikTok, trying to run TikTok. Look, it just crashes, right? Because it's detecting that it's an emulator, and it's bailing on us. We don't have any root or anything right now, so it's definitely detecting it's an emulator and saying, nope, I'm not going to run on emulator. Have a nice day. And we might be able to see that in here if we're lucky. So we got some messages in here. Burst Procker process. Where did it start? A video device. It's like saying, well, maybe there's not a camera, so we're just gonna bail. Who knows? Anyways, that's pretty much where we sit today. On the next video, I will start diving into the first part of this, is setting up Burp Suite, doing the root detection, and maybe I'll kind of stop there and show some options within Magix, and we'll do like a little Magix tutorial. So right now, we haven't done anything not legit. Everything in here is legit. The only thing shifty that we've done at all whatsoever is install licenses, and I'll show you the only weird part of the code that most people don't understand is the actual code for the license. This is the only tricky bit in the entire. Everything is pretty much human readable. um, but of the base 64, I think. Yeah. So I actually found this on Microsoft's website. This creates a zip file with a bunch of text files in it, and then that gets extracted to the license folder that Jamboree is installed. So this gets extracted to licenses, and each one of these is a license for each part of the kind of Android Studio thing, and that will help you, not have to agree to the license terms and agreements and whatever. So that's the only kind of shifty thing in this entire bit. Everything else is human readable. You can go through it, audit it, suggest updates, whatever. It's all for you to see in here. That's pretty much it. We will see if I can think of anything else to show you guys. A lot of times if I am having issues with an application, I can come in here and go to app info, force stop, clear the cache, clear the app data, and sometimes get lucky and launch it again. No, it's detecting that it's in an emulator and bailing. This is actually in Platform Tools. Boot completed. Anyways. App stop, timeout. Failed to read CPU frequency. So maybe that's how it's doing root detection. I don't know. Input multi-touch. Trying to find something for the actual TikTok app. AO music all. Maybe that's what TikTok is called now. Interesting. So this app is called Music All. AAOP Music All. Yeah, unexpected CPU variant x86 using the defaults x86. So, anyways, next one's going to be, we're going to start diving into Burp Suite, and we'll get Magisk set up, and then we'll kind of explore some of the stuff that you can do in Magisk, and maybe try to get TikTok to work, or something else semi-popular that doesn't require like Face ID or something ridiculous. Anyways, I appreciate it. Have a good one. Let me know if you have anything, post comments, suggestions. If you want any features or bugs, feel free to reach out. Have a good one.